Welcome traders, good to see you. Great weekend here, sun is shining, so going to keep this nice and sweet and get back out in that sun and enjoy it. The charts, this dollar is very, very strong. Let's have a look. This is the daily chart. We're right at resistance. I'm looking for this to break up. Key level is there. 75.9. We're above this key level here because of this touch here. It's breakdown area here, break up area here, breakdown area here, and so on. You get the picture. So we're looking for a wedge breakout on the back of this holding the support. If this breaks up, then obviously that's going to do a lot of damage to the euro and the pound and potentially the markets. The key aspect of the markets before we get into the charts is two things. A, we're waiting for the Greeks to vote on the austerity measures. If they don't vote for yes, then the euro could fall very hard. The euro is already under immense pressure from this strong dollar. The pound, we've got GDP and inflation out this week, so that's the pound dailies you're about to see is on major support. If that breaks the major support, that could tumble a lot further. On the other hand, if the GDP and the data is strong, who knows, that could find support and break up. The YM, now, we've got quantitative easing ending this week, and the thing that's in my mind is, why would Mr. Ben Bernanke not have a further plan to come into place with QE2 completing at a point where the markets are on a knife edge? Well, just maybe he's seen the housing and the consumer confidence data that's coming out this week. If that is strong, then we actually need to look for potential potential breakup in the Dow futures. But let's closely examine this. So bear this in mind with the strong dollar. Now the strong dollar is killing the gold. No swing trade there because I've got decent support down here at 1477, and a stop on this would be too big, so I'm not going to short the gold. The S&P 500 futures. Let's look at let's look at the Dow on this because it's just that much easier. The Dow's the one I've been shorting. Dow's the one I've been following. This is the Dow futures. Right, as you can see what I've drawn up here. Sorry, rewind a bit, let's tidy up, which I've just done. Right, trend lines. Broken. Off the back of this reversal bar under the 50 MA, it's broken. But at a reasonable close on Friday, we didn't touch Thursday's lows. And these bars are blue. And we have a wedge with the trend lines coming across the highs. Okay. I think very, very little data out on Monday, so I'm trading very light, if at all. I'm not around in the Euro session on Monday anyway. So we've got this area here where the Dow would need to move. We've got the 200 EMA here, but we've got all this major support here from this price action here, this move up here, and this more recently this bounce off the low here. So we're trapped. I think the first half of the week we may just want to wind our way down and come and touch the 200 EMA 11600. If that's the case, we need to short a pullback to this level here, which is, pullback area is about there, 11925, I think, based on this bar here. So 11925 is the pullback area. And then if we get that area and you get short then 11,600 is the 2 in EMA and the possible area for a target. I wouldn't swing trade it. Actually, no, I take that back. The stop area for a swing trade, if you go in at 925, is 140 roughly, 140 point stop for a potential move down to 11,600. So the risk reward ratio is there. If you're prepared to hold your stop up there and leave it. It is reversal bar on the 50, don't forget. Which so I'm already short from up here, holding a second half. So that's what I'm looking at the YM. But just bear in mind, we've got consumer confidence and housing data. If you start to get some closes down here, then lock in your profits. The only thing going against this trade is forget the news, forget all the doom and gloom out there. But this bar did not come down to Friday's low, Thursday's low. So it's not a convincing sell-off. And we had good data on Friday, so don't write these markets off. Don't get heavily short. You know, we really are in no man's land at the moment. No clear move on there. If you're not prepared to have a stop like that, then simply stand away. Simply stand away, and then wait and see what happens later in the week, and then see if we get a decision later in the week. Once the Greeks vote, once we get some of this data out of the way, then we will have clearer direction. Oil, it's a hammer-like bar, isn't it? It's major support down there, but it's very, very weak. I've just spent all of my time analysing the chart, just putting boxes on these charts. I think all these markets are in boxes. Oil is no exception, that's in a box. So the lower the box is 89.70, the higher the box is 95.5. We've got the potential to break out of here. We've got a gap to the 8, but I'm not trading it. But the reason why these markets are holding is just because we've got a lot of key data coming out. All the commodities are sideways. That was cotton, that was cocoa. Let's look at wheat. Wheat's very interesting. Hammer-like bar, gap to the 8, divergent RSI. See, all these markets are on an edge. There is no. I've gone through all these charts on commodities, forex, and indices. Very, very indecisive charts. The story in the daily is at the moment hung at best. If we start to, if we get a close above the big number 650 on the wheat, it may be worth considering long. We have to reassess. At the moment, it's just sideways. Very low volume, very indecisive on Friday, so not touching it. Right, forex. There really isn't a lot. Now, the one thing I am looking at in the data, if you go, I won't do it now and use up the video time. If you go through the data that's coming out next week, there's one thing that stands out a mile to me, and that is, I think it's Thursday, but we are looking for a forecast of negative growth in Canada. Canada is the only country that does GDP on a monthly basis. The monthly GDP is looking to be minus 0.1%. If that's the case, or even worse, look for CAD pairs to move. This is a really tough call. It's a hammer on the 50 EMA, but it's not closed significantly higher to warrant a swing trade. It's closed right on resistance, and we've got major localized resistance ahead, so I'm not trading it. Let's look at the other CAD pairs. This is the Euro CAD. Now, look out. We've got lots and lots of bad news out on the Euro, but look how this one is holding up. We've got localized support there, so to me it's in the box. I'm not trading it. Other CAD pairs. Now, US dollar CAD, beautiful move on Friday. I think I worked too hard last week because I missed this. You've got to stay fresh, you've got to stay alert to these markets. The trouble is, you've got the daily 2 and EMAs up here around about the 99 area. So the risk reward ratio is not there, and even if you get a pull back to that level there, you've got resistance very, very close ahead. But just watch this one very closely, because the US dollar is very strong. The US dollar is potentially going to break out, and the CAD is potentially in trouble. Okay, so talking about CAD pairs, let's stick to that theme. Let's look at the pound CAD. Beautiful reversal bar under the 200, 8 and 20, which I missed. Got a lot of good trades last week, but this was a big miss for me. The analysis in the daily was there, the story in the daily was there, and for some reason I miss it. It happens. It happens. That's a beautiful move down to the bottom of the box, on the back of that reversal bar, but it put in the hammer and closed back up here. It's not closed above the 8. And the pound's in trouble anyway, so let's switch attention to the pound. Got GDP coming out in the pound. It's below the daily 200, but look at that support. 159.36, major support with low RSI. Now, you could take a break of 159.35, but your stop would have to be on 60.52. Let's put the trend line. We've long since broke the trend line up here. Couldn't hold the 8 up here. So to me, it's not a great trade. I'm standing aside. I'm not swing trading that. I'm standing aside. That's major support. You could, if you, it's a potential stopping bar. So just very little day chart tomorrow. Just standing aside. And a lot of the other charts are the same. Euro yen in a box. US dollar. So Aussie US dollar in a box. The Aussie yen just marginally below the daily pivot, but holding support. New Zealand dollar has been very strong. This New Zealand Swissy has closed below key level. Actually no, it's touched a major support down there. So I cannot find a decent trade, a decent swing trade. Very little day chart tomorrow, and these markets are holding. Fantastic CBO. If you held your stop out of the way on this one, you would have got paid very handsomely. But I wouldn't short it down here. The RSI is too low. If you're not in it, stand aside. Euro pound, no story. So basically, I cannot find. I'm not going to use up any more of your time because I cannot find a decent trade. I'm standing aside. So I'm watching for a close above 650 on the wheat. I'm looking. I will short intraday setups on the euro and the Dow futures intraday. Sorry, we haven't looked at the big one, have we? Crazy me. Euro US, big story at the moment. The Euro US. Euro US is holding a trend line. Fibs. We have so the move off the 60-minute failure I took was a bounce off the 50-minute fibs. It's a little bit like the equity markets, isn't it? These bars are very, very like the equity markets. So had 3 lower closes, but we held the trend line. We've got waiting for the Greek vote. I wouldn't swing trade it. I mean, you could, if you've a mind, take a pull back to this area here. Could try and get a pull back to 42.25. The stop would have to be up here at 143.64 to see if we can drop here. Every time we touch the trend line, this trend line gets weaker. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, effectively had 5 touches of this trend line. So it just shows you the, there isn't complete weakness in the euro. They're not dumping it. So far they're holding it. Now, if we take all of these trend lines away, and just put a trend line on that support where we came up from here, you can see that key area is held. 141.67 is held. There's a wedge, and there's a wedge. The big money is probably putting a short setup below, a short entry below 41.25, or a long above 143.65. Whichever one's triggered, they will use the other one as a stop. So the euro is not a basket case at the moment. It's not a basket case, and it could conceivably hold here and move up. So forget the news, don't get bogged down with the news, just look at these charts. Okay, so as I said, my plan for the week is to watch all the CAD pairs very, very closely because of that projected week GDP later in the week, second half of the week. If I get short signals when the YM's high, I would take them. I'm leaving oil at the moment until we get to the events, unless I get a compelling setup on Tuesday or Wednesday morning. So that's pretty much my plan for the week. So I'd love to be able to say to you, wow, this is a great chart, get in. I can't do that. There's a couple of possibilities there if you're prepared to hold your stops in those areas. What do you think? If you've got an opinion, if you see some of these charts that you think I missed, then let me know. Otherwise, I very much look forward to seeing you on the Traders Roundtable. It's 7 PM on Monday, British Summer Time, 2 PM Eastern Time. If you're not a full member, as a one-off, I will invite you for an opportunity to see what we do, to see what we talk about. If you don't know the login details, then email me or message me on Facebook. Otherwise, see you at the next update. Also, if you've got friends, invite your friends along. And let them have the login details and get them to come along, and let's just have a good big evening of it, big session on Monday. Okay, hope that helps. That's my plan, and see you next update.